esteemed Dr. Porecha, esteemed W20 India and W20 international delegates. It is my pleasure to be addressing you today on the important topic of improving access to infrastructure and skills to bridge the digital gender divide in my capacity as co-chair of the W20 India Task Force on Bridging the Digital Gender Divide and as incoming head of the EU delegation to W20. As my illustrious colleague Sheryl Van Dijk has already provided you with some excellent examples in terms of best practices from across the European Union, please allow me to address the important aspect of bridging the current gap of access, service and capacities in my remarks today. Even though 60% of women in low and middle income countries use the mobile internet, women still represent the majority of the unconnected. As such, women are 16% less likely than men to use the mobile internet, which translates in 264 million fewer women than men. Additionally, GSMA research indicates that progress towards closing the mobile gender gap has stalled and in some countries even reversed. Why is data around the mobile gender gap particularly important, therefore? Because mobile is the primary way through which men and women across low and middle income countries access the internet, accounting for 85% of all broadband connections, according to the latest data from the International Telecommunications Union. This is especially true for women. In most of the countries surveyed in the 2022 Mobile Gender Gap Report by GSMA, women were found to be more likely than men to access the internet on their mobile device. Additionally, connecting women to the mobile internet will bring significant benefits to individual women and their families, but also to businesses and economies, while contributing to the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly those relating to poverty reduction, health, education, climate change, and of course, gender equality. Taking this into consideration, as well as the fact that around 45% of all G20 countries represent middle-income countries, and the fact that the mobile gender gap is widest in South Asia, addressing this disparity is critical for both economic and social development and growth. The GSMA estimates that closing the mobile gender gap in low and middle-income countries can add 700 billion in GDP growth across 5 years. This would represent an additional 0.7% of GDP growth in these countries over the 5-year period. I therefore sincerely hope that policy recommendations around reducing the mobile gender gap can become key points for consideration in the G20 India's Leaders Declaration, building on the legacy of the W20 Indonesia presidency, where this was mentioned as one of the key areas for consideration. In particular, understanding the mobile gender gap by improving the quality and availability of gender desegregated data, understanding of women's needs, and of course addressing the barriers to mobile ownership and usage to close the mobile gender gap are critical. Of course, collaborating and partnering with different stakeholders in achieving these goals is equally important, and as such, I vouch to bridge closer collaboration between W20 and the Equals Global Partnership for Gender Equality in the Digital Age in my capacity as co-chair of the Equals Skills Coalition. When women thrive, economies, societies, and businesses thrive. Thank you.